Hey everyone, welcome back to Calm Verdict. Before we dive into today's story, if you're new here, this channel shares real-life stories about justice, karma, and life lessons. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. Today's story, well, it's one that still gives me chills when I think about it. My name is Marcus, and 3 weeks ago, I stood outside my childhood home in the pouring rain, watching my own family celebrate my father's funeral without me. They'd changed the locks. They'd hired security. And my stepmother, Catherine, stood at the door with a smile I'll never forget and said 5 words that shattered me: "You're not family anymore, Marcus." But what they didn't know, what Catherine and my step-siblings couldn't have possibly known, was that my father had one final move planned. And when that estate notary pulled up in her silver Mercedes 30 minutes later, everything they thought they knew about my father's fortune was about to crumble. Let me take you back to where this really started. My mom died when I was 12. Cancer. Aggressive, merciless, unfair. Dad was devastated, but he held us together, me and him against the world. For 3 years, it was just us. He taught me everything: how to change oil, how to treat people with respect, how to build a business from the ground up. See, Dad wasn't born wealthy. He built his construction company with his bare hands, literally. Started as a day laborer, saved every penny, took night classes in business management, and eventually created Morrison & Sons Construction. The & Sons was for me. Even before I was old enough to work, he'd put my future into the company name. Then, when I was 15, Dad met Catherine at a charity gala. Catherine was polished, elegant. She had 2 kids from a previous marriage: Damien, who was 17, and Veronica, who was 16. Dad was lonely, and Catherine seemed to bring light back into his eyes. I wanted him to be happy, so I tried. I really tried to accept them. They got married 6 months later. At first, things were okay. Awkward, but okay. Catherine redecorated the house, erasing every trace of my mom without asking. Damien was arrogant and treated me like I was an annoyance. Veronica was cold and dismissive. But Dad seemed happy, so I kept my mouth shut. The real problem started when I turned 18 and began working at the company. Dad had always promised I'd join him, learn the business from the inside out. I started at the bottom, carrying materials, cleaning job sites, working 12-hour days in the summer heat. Dad said if I was going to run the company someday, I needed to understand every level. But Catherine hated it. She thought I should go to an Ivy League school, get a proper business degree, maybe even pursue law or medicine. When I chose to work with Dad instead, she saw it as a rejection of her guidance. That's when she started poisoning the well. Marcus isn't ambitious enough. Marcus doesn't have a real education. Marcus is taking advantage of your guilt about his mother. I heard her say that last one through the bedroom door one night. It broke something in me. Over the next 8 years, Catherine slowly built a wall between Dad and me. She was subtle, a master manipulator. She'd schedule family dinners when she knew I had late shifts. She'd plan vacations during crucial project deadlines she knew I couldn't miss. She'd sigh dramatically whenever Dad and I talked business at home. Meanwhile, Damien and Veronica, who'd never shown a single interest in construction, suddenly became fascinated by Dad's work. Catherine would bring them to the office, have them sit in on meetings, dress them up and parade them around at company events. And Dad. Dad started changing. He became distant. Distracted. Our weekly fishing trips stopped. Our early morning coffee talks disappeared. Whenever I tried to discuss the business, he'd cut me short. "Not now, Marcus. I'm tired." Catherine had him on a cocktail of medications for his blood pressure, his cholesterol, his anxiety. He seemed foggy, not quite himself. But he was 65, working hard. I thought it was just age catching up. Then, 6 months ago, Dad called me into his office. "Marcus, sit down. We need to talk." His voice was flat, emotionless. Catherine sat in the corner. She was always there now, with that same serene smile. "I've been thinking about the future of the company," Dad said. And I've decided to make Damien the VP of operations. My blood went cold. Dad, I've been operations manager for 3 years. I've increased efficiency by 40%. Damien has an MBA from Cornell, Catherine interrupted smoothly. The company needs sophisticated leadership to scale. I looked at my father. Dad, please. You know my work. You know what I've built here. He wouldn't meet my eyes. The decision is made, Marcus. Maybe it's time you explored other opportunities. Other opportunities. At the company with my name in the title. I left that office feeling like I'd been gutted. Over the next few months, they pushed me out systematically. My responsibilities were reassigned. My office was relocated to a basement storage room. My ideas were dismissed in meetings. Damien, who couldn't tell a circular saw from a reciprocating saw, was making decisions that cost us contracts. I tried to reach Dad directly, called his cell phone, went to the house. But Catherine had locked it down. He's resting. He's not taking calls. He's asked not to be disturbed. The last time I saw my father in person was 4 months ago, at a company barbecue. He looked so old, so tired. I approached him by the grill, away from Catherine's watchful eyes. Dad, I said quietly. I don't know what's happening, but I love you. I'm here. Always. For just a second, his eyes cleared, and I saw my real father again. He gripped my arm, opened his mouth to speak, then Catherine appeared with his pills and a glass of water. Time for your medication, darling. And just like that, the fog returned to his eyes. 2 weeks ago, I was in my apartment when my phone rang at 2:47 a.m. Unknown number. Is this Marcus Morrison? Yes, this is Mercy General Hospital. Your father, Richard Morrison, was brought in by ambulance approximately 40 minutes ago. He's had a major heart attack. You should come immediately. I broke every speed limit getting there. When I ran into the ER, Catherine was already there, perfectly composed, makeup flawless even at 3 a.m. Damien and Veronica flanked her like guards. You shouldn't be here, Catherine said coldly. He's my father's security, she called out calmly. This man is harassing me. Mrs. Morrison, is there a problem? A security guard approached. This is a difficult time, and this person is not family. Please escort him out. I'm his son. But Catherine had paperwork. She'd had Dad change his emergency contacts, his medical proxy, everything. On paper, I didn't exist. They dragged me out while I screamed for my father. He died 17 minutes later. I wasn't there to hold his hand. I wasn't there to say goodbye. Catherine made sure of that. Dad's funeral was planned for the family estate, the house where I'd grown up, where Mom had planted rose bushes that still bloomed every spring, where Dad and I had built a treehouse that probably still stood in the backyard. I arrived in my best black suit, face numb from crying, heart shattered into a million pieces. The gate was closed. Locked. I pressed the intercom. This is Marcus. Please let me in. Damien's voice crackled through, no unauthorized guests. I'm not a guest. I'm his son. You were disowned, Marcus. Didn't you get the memo? I stood there, stunned. Disowned? I tried calling the house. Blocked. I tried calling Catherine's cell. Blocked. I could see cars in the driveway, people arriving in black clothing, entering MY home for MY father's funeral. So I walked. There was a section of fence in the back that Dad and I had always meant to fix. I climbed over, tore my jacket, didn't care. I made it halfway across the lawn before security spotted me. 2 large men in black suits intercepted me. Sir, you need to leave the property. This is my father's funeral. This is my house, sir, please don't make this harder. That's when Catherine appeared on the back terrace, a glass of wine in her hand, backlit by the chandelier in the dining room. She looked like a queen surveying her kingdom. Marcus, she called out, voice dripping with false sympathy. I know this is difficult for you to understand, but Richard made his wishes very clear in his final months. He felt you'd abandoned the family, abandoned him. You chose your pride over your father. That's a lie. I shouted. You kept me from him. You manipulated him, drugged him, such wild accusations, she sighed. You see, gentlemen? This is exactly the kind of unstable behavior Richard wanted to avoid. Marcus, your father left you a small monetary gift in his will, a kindness, really, considering how you treated him. The house, the business, the estate, those go to the people who actually cared for him in his final years. Damien appeared next to her, smirking. The company's gonna do great things now, bro, real professional leadership. I felt something break inside me. Not just my heart, my entire foundation. Please, I whispered. Please just let me say goodbye to him. Catherine's smile was poison. The viewing was for family only. You're not family anymore, Marcus. Security, please escort this trespasser off the property. If he returns, call the police. They threw me out. Literally grabbed me and walked me to the front gate, then shoved me into the street. It had started raining, a cold, miserable drizzle that matched my soul. I stood there on the sidewalk, staring at my childhood home, watching shadows move past the windows. They were toasting. I could hear laughter. At my father's funeral, they were laughing. I sat down on the curb, put my head in my hands, and I just broke. Sobbed like I hadn't since Mom died. Everything was gone. My father, my family, my company, my history, all of it, stolen. That's when the silver Mercedes pulled up. A woman in her 60s stepped out, carrying an expensive leather briefcase. She wore a sharp gray suit and had the no-nonsense air of someone who'd seen everything. Marcus Morrison, she asked. I looked up, confused. Yes? I'm Patricia Hendricks, estate notary. I've been trying to reach you. Your phone's been going to voicemail. I'd turned it off after the hospital, couldn't bear the silence of no one calling. I don't understand, I said. She looked at the house, then at me sitting in the rain. You're not at the funeral? They locked me out. They said I was disowned. Something flickered across her face, anger, maybe, or satisfaction. Did they now? How interesting, considering I have your father's actual last will and testament right here, executed 30 days ago with explicit instructions that you be present for the reading. My heart stopped. 30 days ago? But Catherine said, I'm sure Mrs. Morrison said many things. However, your father came to my office exactly 1 month before his death, in perfect mental clarity, and made some very specific arrangements. He anticipated there might be resistance to his wishes. She reached into her briefcase and pulled out an envelope. This is for you. To be opened before the official reading. Your father's instructions were crystal clear. If anyone prevented you from attending the funeral or tried to exclude you from estate proceedings, I was to take immediate action. With shaking hands, I opened the envelope. Inside was a letter in Dad's handwriting. Marcus, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and I'm guessing Catherine tried to cut you out. Son, I need you to know, I was never foggy. I was never confused. I've been watching. 6 months ago, I started suspecting Catherine married me for money. So I played sick, played confused, and let her think she was winning. I changed my medications secretly. Dr. Raymond helped, he's a good man. I stayed sharp while pretending to fade. And I saw everything. I saw her coaching Damien and Veronica. I heard her plans to push you out and take over the company. I found documents showing she'd done this before, married wealthy widowers, isolated their children, inherited everything. She's been married 4 times, Marcus. 4. I couldn't tell you because I needed her to feel safe, to show her real hand. And she did. I know what she did at the hospital. Dr. Raymond called me before the heart attack. Yes, it was real, but expected. I'd been sick for months, kept it secret. I changed everything while I still could. By the time you read this, Patricia will have the real will. Trust her. Trust the process. And Marcus, I'm sorry. Sorry for the distance, sorry for the pain. But I needed you protected from all this. You're my son. You're my legacy. Morrison and Sons was always meant for you. I love you. I'm proud of you. And even if I can't be there, I'm making sure you get what's rightfully yours. Now go ring that doorbell and watch Catherine's world crumble. Love, Dad. I couldn't breathe. Tears poured down my face, mixing with the rain. He knew, I whispered. He knew everything. Patricia nodded. Your father was a brilliant man. Now, shall we go deliver the good news? Patricia strode to the front gate and pressed the intercom with authority. This is Patricia Hendricks, estate notary for Richard Morrison. I'm here for the official will reading, which by law must include all named beneficiaries. Open this gate immediately, or I'll return with law enforcement and a court order. Silence. Then, Catherine Morrison speaking. The will reading is scheduled for next week. No, Mrs. Morrison, it's scheduled for today, as specified in the deceased's instructions. I have Marcus Morrison here with me. You have 2 minutes to open this gate. Another pause. Then the gate buzzed open. Walking up that driveway with Patricia felt like a warrior march. The front door opened. Catherine stood there, face pale, eyes calculating. This is highly irregular. What's irregular is preventing a primary beneficiary from attending his father's funeral, Patricia said icily. Shall we do this civilly, or shall I make calls? We entered the house, my house, filled with Dad's colleagues, extended family, business partners. All eyes turned to me, bedraggled and rain-soaked. Marcus? Uncle Tom, Dad's brother, pushed through the crowd. Jesus' kid, where have you been? They locked me out, I said. Told me I was disowned. Uncle Tom's face went purple. He turned to Catherine. You did what? Patricia took control. Everyone, please gather in the living room. We're conducting the will reading now. Catherine tried to maintain composure. Surely this can wait until, no. Patricia's voice cut like glass. It cannot. We assembled. Catherine sat rigid on the sofa, Damien and Veronica flanking her. I stood in the back, still dripping. Patricia opened her briefcase and pulled out the official documents. The last will and testament of Richard James Morrison, executed 30 days prior to his death, witnessed and notarized according to all legal standards. Catherine's eye twitched. 30 days ago. After she thought she'd secured everything. Patricia read aloud, I, Richard Morrison, being of sound mind and body, do hereby declare this my final will. First, to my wife Catherine Morrison, I leave the sum of $50,000 and the jewelry I purchased for you during our marriage, approximately $30,000 in value. Our prenuptial agreement, which you signed, remains in effect, entitling you to no other assets. Catherine shot to her feet. Prenup? There was, Patricia said calmly. Executed before your marriage, signed by you, witnessed. Your copy is in the safety deposit box you've apparently never opened. Please sit down. Damien's face had gone white. Patricia continued, to Damien Morrison and Veronica Morrison, I leave $25,000 each, with the hope you find your own paths in life. Veronica was crying. Damien looked like he might be sick. To my brother Thomas Morrison, I leave my vintage car collection and $200,000, with gratitude for always being honest with me. Uncle Tom wiped his eyes. And to my son, my only son, Marcus Morrison, I leave everything else. My entire estate, including the family home, all bank accounts, investment portfolios, and 100% ownership of Morrison and Sons Construction. Marcus, the company was always yours. Build something amazing. The room erupted. Catherine launched out of her seat, screaming. This is fraud. He was mentally incompetent. I'll sue, I'll fight this, please do, Patricia said. I have medical records from Dr. Raymond confirming your husband's complete mental clarity. I also have recordings from your husband's sessions with me, where he detailed your systematic isolation of Marcus, your manipulation, and your history of targeting widowers. Richard hired a private investigator, Mrs. Morrison. We know about Michael Carrington, about Robert Chen, about David Westbrook, all wealthy widowers you married and whose children mysteriously ended up disinherited. Catherine's face went ashen. You'll also be interested to know, Patricia continued, that Richard filed a detailed report with authorities 2 weeks before his death. There's an active investigation into your activities. I'd suggest you take your $50,000 and secure a very good lawyer. Catherine grabbed her purse and ran. Literally ran from the house, Damien and Veronica scrambling after her. The room was silent. Then Uncle Tom started clapping. Slowly, others joined in. That was 3 weeks ago. I'm sitting in Dad's office now, my office, at Morrison & Sons. I found more letters from him, hidden in his desk. Stories, advice, apologies. He'd been documenting everything, making sure I'd understand. The company is thriving. I brought back the people Catherine and Damien had pushed out. We're building again, the right way. The house feels empty without Dad, but I'm filling it with good people. Uncle Tom moved into the guest house. I hired a chef who makes Dad's favorite meals. I'm restoring Mom's rose garden. Catherine is facing fraud charges in 2 states. Turned out Dad wasn't her first victim, and the other families came forward once news broke. Damien and Veronica. I actually feel sorry for them. They were tools in Catherine's game, just like Dad almost became. I learned something through all this. Real family isn't about blood or manipulation or control. It's about truth, loyalty, and love. Dad taught me that, even in death. He also taught me that justice isn't always immediate, but it's worth fighting for. He fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself. He planned, he waited, and he made sure the truth won. Every day, I walk into Morrison & Sons, and I see that sign, Morrison & Sons. My name. My legacy. My father's final gift. And Catherine? She thought she'd won by locking me out of that funeral. But Dad had the last word. He always did. Thank you for watching Calm Verdict. If this story resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever dealt with family manipulation or estate drama? I'd love to hear your stories. Remember, the truth might take time, but it always finds its way to the surface. Justice might be delayed, but it's never denied. Subscribe for more stories about karma, justice, and life lessons. Until next time, stay strong, stay true, and trust that the right verdict always comes. This is Calm Verdict, signing off.